conferences with, the Dalai Lama, Matthew Ricard, scientists, neurologists, social workers, psychologists, and they discuss this whole thing. What is the mind? And they still haven't come up with, something that everybody will agree on. But in Buddhism, one says the mind is that thing that perceives. Yeah? The mind is that thing that knows. And it's not material. And what does it know? It knows its object. So we have a mind that goes with the eye, so that knows form, shape and color. Then we have a consciousness that goes with the ear, and that recognizes or knows sound. Then we have a consciousness that goes with the nose, and that one recognizes smells. We have one that goes with the tongue, that recognizes tastes. And we have one that goes with the body, then that recognizes touch, hard, soft, cold, hot, hungry, thirsty. Somebody's telephone is ringing, maybe you want to answer it or turn it off or whatever. It's okay, just even though you were asked to maybe switch off your telephones, so one forgets. So out of this you can make a huge big deal. You see, it's a sound. It was a very pleasant sound. So if that sound would have been 50 years ago, we would have gone, I wonder what this is. No label, nothing. Just a sound. No reaction to the sound. No meaning to the sound. Now, immediately, when you heard it, what comes up? Huh? Anger. Yeah, it's a sound, isn't it? We are angry at this beautiful sound. Yeah? Why? Because there's a rule that the telephones have to be off. Yeah, and so therefore somebody broke the rule. Let's punish that person. Yeah, you're lucky that it didn't happen in the meditation. In the meditation, then it would have been, you would have had the illusion that you have a really good meditation. And here's this ding, 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 ding sound. And that would have totally ruined your meditation. What would have ruined your meditation? The sound? No, but I would say the sound ruined my meditation. If you would have heard a cat outside, where we have absolutely no control and we can't tell the cats, look, be quiet, we're meditating, then this neutral mind, hearing the sound of a cat, maybe even labeling cat, okay? But no reaction, you go back to your breath or whatever. Whereas this, because there's a rule that there's no telephones, then the ego creates all these stories. Yeah, and then as you say, anger comes up at the sound. And then unfortunately, so who kind of, what did you hear? A sound. But then the anger, it's stupid for, you cannot direct your anger against the sound. So your anger needs an object. So where does it go? It's the person. And immediately it becomes a bad person. Or not attentive, or not aware, not respectful, not this, not that, and then the whole story, and you don't even know the person. Maybe. Yeah? But we can create a whole story out of that. And then the person becomes an inherently, really bad person. And your relationship with this person that could develop into friendship, is already spoiled. Yet we do like to have friends, don't we? Okay. So thank you very much for the sound. That was a very good example. You see the training of the mind, how the mind learns to put labels, and then the label becomes the thing. Like you hear a sound, tack, telephone, isn't it? Could have been, there was this musical things that you turn the handle. And it could have been that, but no, in everybody's mind, at least in mine. Was it in your mind also? Telephone, not like this. No. It could have been that. Yeah. So then we're totally convinced. So then because we project that inherent existence, Then we create like aversion, or we create desire or attachment. We create actions that then create tendencies or predispositions, habits like this in the mind, and they ripen in two ways, like the same thing happens to us, or we repeat the action. Yeah, it becomes a habit, and what it does, now this is very Buddhist, but I will kind of mention it, it keeps us in what is called samsara. It keeps us in this cycle of where we are under the control of a mind that we, if we could choose, we would not like to have. Meaning a mind that is under the control of negative emotion and acts out of a space of lacking awareness. Lacking the awareness that things are dependently arisen. They don't exist from their own side. Lacking the awareness that things, if they have a function, are impermanent. Just that, you see? That the body is impermanent and that it gets older. I mean, how many people suffer because of that very natural fact? How much money is being earned because human beings don't want to recognize this fact? I don't know, I haven't been, you don't have so many department stores here, I think. So I don't know what they sell on the first floor, but maybe exactly the same thing as in the rest of the world. What is on the first floor of a department store when you come in? For people who go to the department store.
Beauty salon.
Yeah, beauty products. Worldwide. Not clothes, not shoes, not food. Yeah. Beauty products. That's the first thing you see to fix. To fix the impermanence of the body. Well, the body is still impermanent. So like this, so the lacking awareness of things that when they function, they're impermanent. They come together, they're connected with many, 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 many other things. Yeah. So like this, like when you eat your food, you know, so many beings are involved in producing that food. Do we ever think of them? Are we part? We become part of them. When we eat the food that people work for or transport or think about how to, like Kobe, think about how to grow it and all this. You know, the scientists are trying to make crops like organic and without any poison and all these kind of things, and still have good crops. Do we ever think of these people? From time to time? Yeah, when the prices go up. Isn't it? Oh, you know, they must earn too much money, these people. Whenever you are out and it's hot, how about you think, you know, wow, what about these people who work in the fields for me to get my cucumbers and my tomatoes? And you know, the vegetables cannot be grown in an air-conditioned room. They would not grow because it's too cold. Vegetables and fruits, they need warmth and moisture. So, okay, I'm not trying to make you have a bad conscience, but you know, this whole thing that how we all connected to these things and we have an influence also. It's really, it makes us less lonely also. Makes us more having, you know, an open heart to be grateful and to be able to say thank you. Okay, so for these negative emotions, like there's specific antidotes. Okay, there's specific antidotes for anger, for example. There's a few of them. So, for example, patience is an antidote for anger. And how to develop patience. When you look in the mirror, when you're angry, you look really ugly. And nobody wants to be ugly. Yeah, isn't it? Nobody has a wish to be ugly. So that's a very good antidote. Also an antidote, like antidotes are thoughts, right? Also an antidote for anger is, for example, that you cannot enjoy anything. When anger is in your mind, the projection that comes, everything looks really ugly and like, yeah. Have you ever tried to give a very delicious piece of whatever, chocolate cake, or if you more salty things, pizza, to somebody who is angry because you wanted to calm them down? Because you thought that's the best antidote, to give them something delicious? Have you ever tried to do that? Have you ever tried to calm somebody who is angry? you ever tried? Did it work?
No.
So it's not worthwhile to buy the chocolate cake. Eat it yourself. Because, because the person cannot, for the person it doesn't appear beautiful. So again, we see that because people do that with us, isn't it? When we are angry, they are trying to calm us down because they see that we suffer. So they're trying to do something, but we get upset at them because we feel not respected and we feel not heard and we feel like we have this huge problem and you come in with this piece of chocolate cake. It's ridiculous what you're doing here. You want me to solve my problem with a piece of chocolate cake? This is how serious you are taking me? Yeah? So all these, again, it doesn't happen here consciously. It's all down here, and then we get upset about the people who won't actually want to help us. Or if somebody's looking for something and they're in a hurry, don't help them. Just stay quiet. And really, please don't ask them, where did you put it last? That's the first question we ask, isn't it? I mean, it's so stupid, because if I would know, I would know where it is. So it's not helpful. You can quietly go to a drawer also, but be quiet. Don't kind of ask them these questions that they don't want to answer. So these would be the antidotes for anger, that you cannot enjoy anything. People get afraid of you, or they find you ridiculous. It's two ways. If you're stronger than them, or if you have power, then they're afraid of you, and if they're weaker, if you're weaker than them, then they think you're ridiculous. They make fun of you. Yeah, so thinking about all these things would be an antidote to anger. Then antidote to desire is that the happiness is not in the object. The happiness is here. Yeah, although it appears like that. That's another lacking awareness, that we think that the happiness that comes from the food, or from a nice smell, or a nice touch, or a nice sound, that we think the object is the cause. Yeah? The object is not the cause. The object is only the condition. Right. But now everybody is nodding. Think about it next time. How does it appear to you? Yeah? Maybe we do a reflection on that also. Something that you really don't like and something that you do like. How does it appear to you? Does it appear as if the ugliness or the whole thing comes, or the pleasantness comes from that side? Or does it appear that this is just a neutral thing, and the way I look at it, this is what it becomes? Does it appear like that? Not at all. Yeah. And again, since beginningless times, one would say in Buddhism, we have been believing that the happy feeling comes from the object, or the unhappy feeling comes from the object of the situation. So you can imagine listening to this just once, that is not going to destroy the happiness. Yeah. But by seeing it slowly, and by every time it arises, and you have practiced mindfulness, you have practiced to be in the present, like not just on the cushion in the group, but every day and from time to time, and especially when you feel that something strong is going on in here, then you ask yourself that question: how does it appear? And then the next question is with this: how does it appear? Because the emptiness is all about how does it appear, and is that appearance true? It looks real, but it's not true. It feels totally, 100% totally real, that if I like this ice cream and I eat it, the pleasant feeling is coming from there. Looks real, but it's not true. So you need to give yourself good reasons why this is not true. So what is a very good reason? A very good reasoning why this is not true. If it would be true that the happy feeling or the pleasant feeling comes from that object there, then what? What would be the consequence of that?
Everyone will feel the same.
Huh?
Everyone will feel the same.
For example, everybody would like that.
Each time it will be
then we say, oh, well, we're different. But each time, where does this come from? I'm very hard on hearing, so I don't even hear where the sound. Okay, each time.
It will be good.
Each time you eat it, it will be good, and it would get better and better and better and better if it would come from there. Yeah. Is it like that? Not at all. It's exactly the opposite. Yeah. But we don't. You see, our ego, who has the only way that our ego finds happiness is in these things: beautiful sound, taste, smells, touch. Then, of course, then it feels like, oh, these Buddhists, no, thank you. They want to take something away from me. Yeah, and then they go like, oh, I can't enjoy the ice cream anymore. Of course, you can enjoy the ice cream. Maybe you will enjoy it more, actually, because you will know that the happiness is not coming from there. You will be more open. You will not be so, you know. Has it ever happened to you? Because now, you see, also, whatever you like, you could buy always the same thing. You wouldn't have to switch from one to the other. Yeah. So now, you know, the kinds of ice creams, they're increasing, isn't it? So then the choice is like more and more difficult. So you buy not only one, try to buy three things of the same kind. They think you're crazy. And they don't let you. Why? Because they know if she buys 3 of the same kind, by the time she finishes, she will have it up here. Like, yeah. So they need to give you different kinds, so that you can switch from one to the other, so that the pleasantness is still there, because you switch. You know, you go to a new one and to a new one to a new one. But has it ever happened to you that when you take the first lick, you go like, maybe I should have bought the other one. Very often. Yeah, very, very often. So I'm not, in case you are selling ice cream, okay? I'm not telling people that you shouldn't eat ice cream. I'm just saying that the happier you are, the better your ice cream becomes. The unhappier you are, ice cream is not going to help. You will eat too much of it. Why? Because it doesn't help. So you know, the lacking awareness mind is going, well, maybe I haven't had enough of it. So I need more and more and more. And this is why people don't stop earning money even though they already have enough. This is why people don't stop exploiting others, because they think, oh, I don't have enough. Yeah, like this. This is why people don't stop amassing things, because they think, I just have enough. This is why people don't stop swapping partners, because they still think it's the wrong partner. If I would have another one, I'd be very happy with that one. Yeah. So we just swap. I'm also not saying you should stay with somebody that you feel that's really not the right person. Okay? But it is not the person. Okay? So this would be the antidotes for desire. But one does not work for the other, you know, so it's all like that. But when you think about this lack of inherent existence, that one antidote works for all the other negative emotions. That there is no real I, no inherently existing I that needs to be protected. So I'm going to read you something which I found. It's from a book which is called Progressive Stages on the Path to Emptiness, I think it's called. I don't know if I find it because... Where did it go? So what we are talking about when one talks about emptiness... Oh, it's in the Dropbox. Do I need maybe I need to turn on the phone to go into the Dropbox. Okay. So when we talk about selflessness or I or ego or self, it doesn't matter how you call it. In general, they just call it a superimposed self. In the West, we have started to call this ego. I'm not so sure what ego actually is. I'm not a Jungian. I'm not a psychotherapist at all, so I don't know what, because I gave a talk once to in the Jungian Institute, the real thing, the real place, imagine, in Zurich, where he was. Ooh, They asked me to come and give a talk about death and dying. So I tried to explain selflessness, but somehow I saw that they have this very strong belief in a real self, in a something.
Yeah, self with a capital
Over
S.
self or something, super self, over self, something like that.
No.
No.
Self with a capital letter.
Yeah, okay, self with the capital letter. Yeah, so that exists.
Individuation.
Yeah.
Individuation is the main process.
That exists. So it's difficult to discuss these things when you have different definitions of the whole thing. Yeah. Okay, so we do have a self. Okay, so you are somebody. You have a self, but you don't have the self that comes up when we are very agitated. Like at the moment, you know who you are, and there's no big turmoil in here, and I hope it's not narrow, you're not frightened, you're kind of okay because you're focused, you're listening to me, and you're not so much with your problems and your past and your future and all that, okay? So that is the combination of body and mind that we can put the label I or me, self. That's fine. This you have, yeah? But then when things change, let's say maybe a bomb explodes out here, yeah, then this super ego would come up, or this dominant I, we can call it, yeah? The I that thinks, the I that walks, the I that eats and all this we have, but it's not really an I, it is the body, or it is the mind who is doing these things. But then we project something that is more than that, more than the body and mind, a third entity, something separate from it, okay? Something that is able to stand on its own. Again, when we think, we see that this is not possible. Opa. Are you okay? Maybe now you feel you're out. That one. Everybody looking. Yeah, this is a good one, It's like we're sitting in a crowd, and all of a sudden a telephone goes off. Yeah, and everybody's looking at you. Oh, and inside you go, what, me? But usually they use the example of you're in a shop and you go out and then the alarm goes off. And everybody's looking at you and going, thief! And then you go, who? Me? And you point here, You should point at your hand saying, didn't take anything. Me, here. Also, if you plan to take something, you can't plan it in here, you need to plan it up here. So we need a pointing here, nor here, which would be the thief. And you're not also saying, ooh, me, like the whole thing. We go here. Because the sensation of this I or ego, we do feel it in here. And it seems as if it's a separate entity, a third thing, a third entity. Something that is possessing the body and the mind, and that one does not exist. Yeah? Because we do say my body, my mind. So that implies there's something more that possesses the body and the mind. And then you look for this I or me. You see, this is for us. It is self-evident that, of course, the I exists that possesses the body and the mind. Again, this is how it appears. This is how we instinctively feel. And then we need to protect it. We're not going, when we are walking towards a cliff and about to fall, not going, oh, I need to protect the body. It goes, I need to protect myself. Yeah? So that one does not exist. There is existence. When we talk about emptiness, also the emptiness of the cup and all this, the plant, these things do exist. So please don't forget that, because otherwise you fall into nihilism, and then really you go, okay, what's the point of developing compassion? What's the point of taking care of my karmic actions? What's the point of doing anything? And that's not what it's meant to be. Yeah, this is very dangerous if you think like that. Then you come back. Yeah. Maybe something with what you could compare it to also is a dream. A dream exists, it feels real, but it's not true. But while we are in the dream, we project trueness into it. It becomes true. Okay? So imagine that you would understand that this is just a dream. How would you react? That when we understand that what we think is reality is also just like a dream, then people think that, well, then it's not important anymore. But if you, I don't know if it has ever happened to you, you are dreaming and you know that you are dreaming, okay? So some note, great. Then do you go like, it doesn't matter? Not at all. Then you start to get involved in the whole thing, and then there's a lot of joy, and you become Superman or Superwoman, because you don't have to be afraid, because there's nothing to protect. Yeah. So that is the same thing. If we see that out there, it doesn't exist the way it appears. It doesn't become not interesting anymore. Yeah. It's totally the opposite. You become much freer when you start to understand it, because then from this me and the others, we become us. And you become bigger, actually. By putting more people in your heart, you become a bigger person. I mean, not in size, but in your heart expands. If it's just me, then whatever problem I have is really, really tiny, I mean, the I is only me, and whatever problem I have, because the space is so small, then it probably becomes huge. Yeah? If I can accommodate other people's problems in my heart, then my own problem decreases in size. So that is the good thing. Yeah? So what is being said it is empty of, or does not exist, is real, true, inherent existence. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, this is important. But anyway, I'll read out a few very clever things, so then. So as I'm saying, you know, we understand this quite quickly in the head, yeah, that it cannot exist, because if you look for it, and we will be looking for it through analysis, you will not find it. You can't find it anywhere. And that an I can exist without the body and the mind, I mean, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see that. It's like, yeah, it's not possible. So however, when we try to analyze our behavior in relation to this self, we realize that we are very unclear as to what this self really is. Non-Buddhist thinkers have defined the self variously as resting in the brain, in the blood, or the heart, and having such qualities as true or transcendental existence in or outside of the mind or body. To have any meaning, such a self has to be lasting, for it is perished every moment. If it is perished every moment, one would not have to make this a bit bigger. That's better. If it perishes every moment, one would not be so concerned about what was going to happen to it to the next moment. It would not be one's self anymore. Again, it has to be single. So when we single out, it's something that is permanent. Because otherwise, why would we be concerned when tomorrow there's another self? Why would I have to be concerned about it now? Yeah? So it has to be permanent. It has to be single. It has to be only one. Yeah? Otherwise, you don't know who you are also. Again, it has to be single. If one had no separate identity, why should one worry about what happened to oneself any more than one worried about anybody else's self? It has to be independent, or there would be no sense of saying, I did this or I have that. If one had no independent existence, there would be no one to claim the actions and experiences as its own. Now, we all act as if we had a lasting, separate, independent self that is our constant preoccupation to protect and foster. It is an unthinking habit that most of us would normally be most unlikely to question or explain. If you never hear these teachings, you go, of course I have an I. And I need to protect it. And we go again, we go here, I need to protect it. It is self-evident that, of course I have an I. What is the Buddha talking about? suffering is associated with this preoccupation. All loss and gain, pleasure and pain arise because we identify so closely with this vague feeling